He's either incredibly bored, loves to just hear himself talk, or he likes us. I'm not sure what it is, but he's back for a third round, the one and only John McAfee.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a cross between being extremely bored and nothing else to do. I'm joking with you, sir. I love being on the show.
That's okay. We'll take whichever reason. So you are presently in Cuba, in exile, but you came from where? The Bahamas or Bermuda? Where were you last?
I was last in the Bahamas, in a little island called the Exumas, a beautiful place. I went to the Bahamas, of course, before because I was charged with income tax evasion. I haven't paid taxes in 8 years, and I will never pay them again. And I believe they're illegal and unconstitutional. But in any case, I went to the Bahamas because they have no income tax. You cannot extradite someone from a country where the crime you're extraditing them for is not a crime in the country that you're in. So I was saved. Then 3 weeks ago, I don't know whether it was the FBI or the CIA, approached the Bahamian government informally with charges of murder, racketeering, and money laundering. And all bogus. The idea was to get the extradition, which they would have to extradite me on those charges, then drop those charges and then prosecute me on my IRS charges. So in any case, I came to Cuba because that's the last safe place for me in the Caribbean. My boat doesn't have the capacity to go to the Pacific from here, and so I have a limited choice of islands. Cuba is spectacular, by the way. It's extremely unlikely that I will be extradited from here. Cuba has never extradited a single American citizen for any offense. They're not exactly happy with the U.S. these days, so hopefully I'm safe for a while.
Now, I'm in agreement with you on a few of those areas. Let me ask you about your thoughts on taxation being illegal, right? Because like in 1913, the Federal Reserve Bank was created, which is neither federal nor reserve. And then they also created the IRS. The Federal Reserve Bank is run by these trustees. When you pay the IRS, the trustees get paid, not the U.S. government. So it is a wonky system set up to feed the elite rich, really.
It is, but I'm not playing that game anymore. I mean, I played it most of my life. I've paid close to $100 million in income taxes over the years. I have not received that much in benefits from the government. I just stopped paying. I wrote them a letter everywhere saying where I live, I'm not filing. Now, they've never bothered me until I started last year speaking worldwide about crypto, privacy coins, and distributed exchanges, which would prevent any government from finding out how much money you're making, where it came from, where you're sending it to, how much is in your wallet. Nothing. They don't know who you are. You're completely anonymous. Now, those two things, distributed exchanges, which cannot be shut down by governments, and privacy coins, obviates income tax. I mean, unless you want to believe that all human beings are honest and you'll just of your own free will report everything that you've done and pay your taxes. I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
Now, didn't you previously have a trust? Because last time you came on, you're like, I have no income. I have no income.
Well, I don't.
Because
I don't. And that's the thing. But I'm still not filing. I could file and say I have no income. No. I'm actually standing up for what I believe in, which is I'm not filing, period. End of story. I'm not telling you anything about my income or lack of it. Go fuck yourself. Now, as a result, I've lost my homeland. I mean, the land where, I grew up, kissed my first girl, graduated from high school, went to the prom, got my first job, got married, had children. My homeland. I have had to abandon that because I refuse to bow any longer to the nonsense of our government. So, and one of the things I like about Cuba is that Cuba also was the only country in the Caribbean that has refused to bow to the U.S. Every other country is terrified of America, as they should be. America is the world's bully, the world's policeman. No one asked us to be the policeman, but we are. So I'm just refusing to do it. I have no money. That's the other thing. Not people are suing me constantly because I stupidly named a very successful company after my own name. I should have called it the name of my worst enemy. That would have been far smarter.
Should have called it Norton, right? So what's Cuba like? Because I've never been, most Americans have never been, and certainly we have an idea of what we think it is, but what's your perspective? You muted yourself, John. Unmute. All those technology. Hey Travis, we should teach him about technology.
I got it.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My hand accidentally. Let me go over here. Well, it's going to be easier. My hand accidentally hit the button. So no, Cuba is one of the friendliest countries I've ever been in. Everybody is smiling all the time. They're friendly. They are a happy bunch of people. You know, all of this garbage that the U.S. tells us about the Cuban people being oppressed, bullshit. What's oppressive is the economy. And the economy is a direct result of the U.S. embargo, which has been going on for 63 fucking years. Under the assumption that if we put enough pressure on the Cuban people, they will replace the government. Well, bullshit. They're happy with the government. It's done nothing to the government, but it has caused the Cuban people to suffer. And just recently, 2 weeks ago, the Trump administration, I have no problem with Trump basically, but the Trump administration denied all cruise ships to come here, which is a huge income for the Cuban people. The people who do the tours and the restaurants and who sell trinkets to tourists, they're the ones that are losing, not the government. So, you know, in spite of the economic, the Cuban people are just beautiful people, happy, very creative. I mean, here's one example: Bic lighters. I had a Bic lighter that had been refilled 7 times. You can tell because of the 7 holes in the bottom. They take their Bic lighters when they're empty and for 10 cents get them refilled and use them until the flint disappears. Well, that's some creativity for you. So Cuba is created and populated by just enormously beautiful people.
And isn't it like it's like a car show? Like most of the cars are like in the 50s and 60s or something, right?
Right. Well, that way, because they couldn't get certainly no American cars and no cars from any friends of America. So every car on the street is 1957 or older, and they're all beautiful, convertibles, polished, almost brand new, and they're still running. Why? They have no choice.
It's almost like you're in a time capsule, right? It's like a time capsule.
It is a time capsule. You drive down the road and all the cars are pre-1957. And it's like, well, you know, I tell you what, if America does open up Cuba, the car collectors from all over the world are going to storm this place.
Oh, man.
Not just cigars, cars. Cigars and cars.
No, not just cigars. Well, cigars is another awesome thing. They have the best cigars on the planet. I've been smoking 3 or 4 a day. But the automobile.
Your voice is a little more raspy, all those cigars.
Well, it is a little, but you know, I'm 74. Who gives a shit?
Good. No, that's
And
good.
so there, from Cuba, you are launching your presidential campaign.
I am, absolutely, sir. And well, I actually launched it while I was in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
We have thousands of. It's amazing. Before what I got was reason.
Did he mute? Yep, you muted. You hit the mute again. Maybe he's gotten tired of hearing himself talk. He's like, I don't really want to hear what I have to say. There you
All
go.
right. All right. I'm moving so that does not happen. All right. So, no, I had a great amount of support before I went into exile. After exile, my support went through the roof. There are so many people who are dissatisfied with the government and would like to thumb their noses up like I do. They just don't have the ability to do so. Well, I know how to survive, and I've lived in every country in the world almost, and so this is nothing for me to have to pack up on a moment's notice because I'm about to be collected and move to another country. So my support is just, in the past 2 weeks, for example, I've gotten 60,000 new followers on Twitter. The support is enormous.
That is wild. Now, so, just on the current state, have you paid attention at all last couple of days, watched any of these, the Democratic debates?
Absolutely. In fact, I tried watching them last night. It was so painful that I finally just, abandoned it. And then I found out that 10 minutes after I'd abandoned it, one of the debaters themselves walked off the stage. I don't know if you watched that or heard that. No, it's true. So, I mean, it's nonsense.
Here's the problem. There's too many Democratic campaigns. I'm getting the hell out of here. Screw this. Got the hell off stage.
Yes. It was incredible. So it was a woman. It was a woman who just wandered off the stage without any explanation. Yeah.
That's funny.
Tolerate watching it another second. Here's the problem. People are asking, what will you do about this? What will you do about that? The question is, how will you fucking know? We know nothing other than the propaganda that the government feeds us through the press. And it's all lies. It's disinformation. It's delusion. And the government lives behind a veil of absolute secrecy, while it expects us, the citizens, to open our kimono and show them everything. It should be the reverse. It started out being the reverse. It's our fucking government. We elected these people. We need to know exactly what the truth is that's happening. No, try and find out the truth. The government is manipulating so much of the world and its own society that if we found out the truth, we would burn Washington to the ground. So we don't know. So it says, what would you do about the Middle East? Let me ask you a question. Do you speak Farsi? Do you speak Saudi? Do you speak Arabic? Do you know the religion inside out? Do you know the history? Do you know the political alliances? Do you know the culture? Fuck no. Then how are we supposed to know what's best for them? We just need to get the fuck out and mind our own business because we have problems. They're saying that Cuba has people starving in the streets and eating rats. Well, I've been all over this country. I haven't seen a single starving person. In fact, most Cubans are overweight, I'll be frank with you, except the women who are gorgeous. And yet in America, we have millions, literally millions of people living in tent cities, living under bridges. Over 1 million people just not accounted for. And yet we are worrying about Cuba and we're not fixing the problems ourselves. Christ almighty, we need to look at ourselves. We need to get a fucking mirror and take a hard look at America, the government. The government is not the people. The American people, the citizens, are beautiful like everybody. But the government that we have voted for has gone insane. And how can they not? Let me ask you a question. Presidents make less than $500,000 a year, and yet they will spend $100 million to become president, to sit in that fucking chair and take on the most awesome, horrible responsibilities in the world, serving 400 million people, which is what the president should do. Nobody should want that job. And yet, we elect people who pay hundreds of millions to get the job. Please use your heads, people. Use your heads.
Let me ask you this. Well, let me ask you this now, because it's like there's this, it seems to be this combination of government and big tech and corporations that are just so large. You got the Googles of the world and Facebook and, YouTube and these really big companies that are essentially monopolies that are almost becoming like governments on their own, with Facebook having its own cryptocurrency. Like, they're more powerful than some governments. Like, this is a crazy scenario.
Here's the issue. It's not that are the governments becoming, are the companies becoming like governments? The question is can you differentiate the U.S. government from Google or from Facebook? From Google, listen, Google announced last month that it will start providing to any police organization information. Let's say there's a crime on First Street and Harrison Avenue somewhere. It will provide to the police the location of every telephone within 100 yards, 200 yards, whatever you would like, to the police. Now you tell me, who are the police and who is the company? I mean, this is the problem. It's become, and Dwight Eisenhower, the last sane president we ever had, warned America on his exit from office, beware of the military-industrial complex. What did he mean by that? The connection between the military and industry. And the military is what? Most of the U.S. government, is it not? I mean, it reports to the executive branch. And who is more powerful? The chief of staff or Donald Trump?
Right.
So I'm sorry. We have some out here, but I can't.
We have special guests there. I like that. Tell them they're on bad crypto. So you don't actually want
yes.
to be president.
So anyway, can you still hear me?
Yep. You don't actually
can you still
want
hear
to
me?
be. Yes.
We can still hear you.
You don't actually want to be president, right? I mean, you're just trying to bring awareness to what? Why are you doing this?
Well, first of all, there is no way. I mean, please, anybody who thinks that I have a real chance of becoming president needs their head examined. Or you've been living in a closet in your mother's house your entire life and know nothing about reality. I can't be president. Jesus Christ. Nor do I want to be. You couldn't pay me $100 million to do that job, especially at my age. Do I want to spend the rest of my life with that awesome responsibility, with that, people throwing eggs and tomatoes all the time, and not in reality, but metaphorically, having the responsibility to serve 400 million people? Jesus, and to extract from the nightmarish mix-up that we have with the rest of the world, the Middle East, North Korea, Cuba, Mexico, South America. Good God Almighty, who would want that job? Certainly not me. No. Why am I running? I am running because I get access to the national stage. I'm running on the libertarian platform, and in spite of what Reason magazine may say, which came out recently, I have enormous support and will get the nomination this time. Now, last time I lost to Governor Johnson. I think that most people afterwards wish that I had won. What a nightmare he was. But in any case, once I get the nomination, or even before I'll still be debating in the Libertarian Party and getting the national stage. So it will give me an opportunity to say to the world what needs to be said, at least from my perspective at my age.
I want to ask you then about, because you've said it many times, you tweet about it, you talk about it, you've even mentioned it a couple times right now about how privacy coins are the future. I think we've even talked about it on previous episodes. So let me ask you this then, which privacy coins do you think are poised for the best long-term outcome, and maybe why? Because we understand privacy is important today, but maybe what are some of the developments among some of these blockchain projects that you've seen that really captivate you?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say this about privacy coins. The reason, just in case people don't understand this, the reason that they will win is that no one knows, or very few know, that with Bitcoin, Ethereum, every ERC20 coin, if you send me something or I send you something, forever after, you and I get to look in each other's wallets. Everything that comes into yours, I know about. Everything that leaves yours, I know where it went, I know where it came, and I know what your balance is. If the banks did that, let's say you paid the plumber $50 with a check to do something, and the plumber went to your bank and said, I want to get into Mr. McAfee's account or Joel's account, and I want to see, how much he has. Oh, geez, can you tell me where this $100,000 came from? Would you be happy? Fuck no. And yet that's what Bitcoin and Ethereum and ERC20s are. So eventually people are going to catch on and want a little bit of privacy. Now, the privacy coins, there are many, many privacy coins, from the very crude, like Verge, which is extremely crude, all the way to sophisticated coins like Monero or Apollo. Eventually, these privacy mechanisms are going to be cracked by governments and hackers unless they are incredibly complex and require massive computing power, many years to break. So I'd say Apollo and Monero are the only two that I would say can't be broken. I know that the U.S. government put out a request, an RFP, a request for proposal, for any hacker that could give a method of breaking into Monero, of finding out who a person is who transferred or received, or even where they were. Nothing's been said, but I can guarantee you no one's done it. So the two that I would do with Monero, it's been there the longest, it's accepted widely. Apollo, and much newer, but I think even more secure. Everything else, I think, eventually is going to be cracked. I'm serious.
I want to go back to your campaign just for a moment, because I have one more question, and then let's jump into the market and your thoughts on what's going on now. Let's say you win the Libertarian nomination. You can't come to the U.S. to debate, and it's my understanding that you have surrogates, and I've seen photos of McAfee masks.
Yes. My staff are wearing them all the time. It freaks me out.
You don't have one handy, do you? Do you have one nearby? I'd like to see one.
Do you have a store where I could buy one? Because that's hilarious. I'll be McAfee for Halloween.
Someone's calling me? Okay. Can you answer it and tell them I'll call them back? I'm doing an interview. I can't take it right now. Thank you.
Is that Trump? Is Trump calling you?
I've had a very busy day, and things are very hectic. So anyway, can you repeat the question? I'm really sorry. I got interrupted.
Not a problem. And just editor's note here, Aaron, please, edit this one pretty heavily for, when he mutes himself and these things here. Let's make sure.
My apologies.
Not a problem. That's why we have a stellar engineer.
My apologies, sir.
Okay, re-asking the question. So obviously, if you win the Libertarian, candidacy, you can't come to America to debate. They'll arrest you on the spot. And so you have these surrogates, and they have masks. So I guess it's not really a question; it's a statement.
It is. That's exactly what's happening. And if people will not accept that, because to be very frank, it is a very freaky experience. All right. So especially people wearing the full face mask that you pull over your head, they're all scary looking. I mean, they definitely look like me, but they're scary.
Do you have one handy? Is there one nearby, or can somebody grab one?
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me go tell someone to get one.
Can we buy these? Are these available for purchase? I want to.
Okay.
I want to be McAfee for Halloween. I do. I think I do.
Okay. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of an interview here, but they want to see the pull over the head mask.
And we want you to put it on. We want you to wear it yourself.
It's on the back of the sofa. Okay. Can you bring it here? Okay. They're going to bring one.
Excellent.
That's so good. Can we buy those?
Bring one, and I'll put it on myself so you see how freaky it really is.
Oh, excellent.
So in any case. Some people have balked because I'm talking now to people within the Libertarian Party. They have agreed certainly to let me be on a screen remotely through Zoom or some other affair, which is fine. That itself will suffice. I would vastly prefer to have one of my surrogates standing up. Being controlled through an earphone about what to do, whether to bow, shake someone's hand, or whatever, while I watch the audience and listen to their questions. So if we can't do that, then they have all agreed that I can be remote on a screen using some electronic medium, and I will speak from here and answer questions from here. I think, again, we'd get far more press, we'd get far more attention, and the people will listen more if I could use one of my surrogates. But in a moment, as they bring the mask back, I will show you exactly how freaky it looks. Right? I mean, I'm sorry, there's just no way to do it, to make it look remotely real without an over-the-head mask. And since everybody's face is a different size and shape, even when it's on my face, it will freak you out. So the one will be here momentarily. I'll put it on and I'll show you. In fact, I'll do the rest of the interview with it. That'll be strange.
That is good. So how many of these masks are in existence?
Well, we've got two types. We have the cardboard mask, which looks exactly like me, and if you're straight on with someone, it's a very uncanny look. But those are kind of like Halloween masks. Then we have the pull over the head. We have 20 of those. They're not cheap.
Nice.
So we'll get one. I'll show you how they look.
Where can we buy one? I want one. I want to be John McAfee.
There's no way right now. There are a lot of people say they want to buy one, but I'm afraid I'll end up robbing half the banks in America with everybody wearing my mask to commit crimes and rob banks and God knows what. You know, you can see John McAfee on a crime spree across America. How could he have been at 5 places at once?
That's true. I thought he was in Cuba. No, he's at the First National Bank.
Not because of people committing crimes, not because of people committing crimes, but because I can't imagine people doing porn videos, for example, or doing jokes and things and ending up ridiculous.
Well, there you go. It gets you more on the public stage, and maybe on the pubic stage.
Well, let's jump into the market then. I want to timestamp this. So we're doing this interview on the 28th of June, and currently Bitcoin is at $11,925 after hitting a high of about 13.8, dropping into the low tens. The market cap is 338 billion, and you are sticking by your prediction still that a year and a half from now, almost to the day, Bitcoin will be $1 million.
Yeah, of course I am. Absolutely. It's mathematically impossible for me to lose. And by the way, 4 days ago, before the dip, I did a tweet going, will this rise continue? Of course. Will it back off? Of course, but only briefly. And which is what it did. Please God, it's not going to skyrocket straight to the moon without tripping over shit. So, you know, it dropped down to 10. People got panicked. I said, please God, ignore it. We're in for the long term. Wait a week or two, it'll be back. And it is. Okay, now then, here comes my mask.
Oh, my. Yeah, by the way, those of you listening to this, those of you listening on audio, the video.
No. Let me do it. I want to do the rest of this interview. Would you just hold the phone right there, sir? That's fine. Now, don't watch because it's freaky during that.
So grandfatherly. Now, don't watch. It's a little creepy.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
That is the best. I just got the best photo, dude. That is hilarious. Yeah.
Okay, those of you that are listening to the show.
This is probably not on straight. I'm not in a mirror. I can't really tell. Is this kind of straight, Robert? He says it's kind of straight.
That's good.
Those of you listening to the audio, you need to go to the Bad Crypto Mastermind or to our YouTube channel to see the video of this. It will give you nightmares. Weeks on end.
Can you imagine V? Okay, for example, one of my employees he's a Haitian. He's coal black. Okay, and I walked up one morning recently. He had no shirt on, but he was wearing this. I want to tell you, I almost passed out. It was so scary.
Can you put your sunglasses on over it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the perfect McAfee look. You got to have those sunglasses.
There we go.
It's so stoic too, because you don't smile or laugh. You just
no.
Oh shit, that is so funny.
All right.
So in any case, this is what people will be looking at while I'm talking. Now, I think the weirdness of it will just—it's kind of like a traffic accident. You can't take your eyes off it, right? I think the weirdness of it will attract not just listeners, but also the press. But people are resisting it and asking instead if we will do a video link of just me and my normal self. In any case, your question, can I in fact be in the debates? Fuck yes. One way or the other, I will be. And if they don't let me, I swear to you, I will make the biggest ruckus you've ever heard.
It's amazing, but I am being traumatized at this moment. So please take it off. You just took a drink with it on.
Oh, Jesus. That is maybe the funniest shit I've seen in a while. I don't know that I've laughed that hard on a show ever. Oh, my God. Dude, that is funny.
All right.
Wow.
Now, we got something?
That was good. Now we get to see your mouth move again. This is all right. Hey, so the big bull run that happened, you sent out a fury of tweets saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to break records, but altcoins are going to go 10x. You haven't seen anything yet.
Yes.
You mentioned quite a few.
No, you haven't. Trust me. There are coins that, I've been working very closely with a company like Docademic, all right, of the MTC coin. Those people are doing incredible shit all throughout South America. They're making money. They're changing the world. And their coin went from 40 cents down to less than a penny. Now, when the world discovers the truth, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, please God. I mean, it's going to go from a penny to 3 or 4 times what its high was. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of percent gain. So there are many Apollo, okay, one of the best privacy coins, but it came out just as the market was crapping out. So what happened? It went nowhere and it went down. But they didn't.
Now, are you working with Apollo? Is that one of the coins that you're working with?
No, I'm working with literally every privacy coin out there. So don't think this is a promotion. There's not a single privacy coin I have not worked with. I work with most of them for free. Sometimes I get a few coins. But what I want is I want to see privacy coins succeed. Else crypto will not succeed, I promise you. So, but I'm very close with Apollo because their development team is, I think, one of the best on the planet. So over the past year and a half, they've been sitting still. They've been improving. They've been adding. They've been making it more and more tight because I promise you, at some point, governments throughout the world are going to do everything within their power to break the top coins. Monero, like I said, the U.S. government already put out an RFP, and they'll do the same thing for Apollo very soon. So these coins have to succeed. They have to succeed, which is why I'm helping them all. And Apollo's got the absolute best team out there. So that's another example. MT, like you said, the medical token. By the way, anything in the medical field, good God, invest in it. Why? Look at the world around you. What are the most profitable companies in the world? Merck, Bayer, all of the pharmaceutical companies, all of the medical firms, hospitals. Good God Almighty, medicine is the field that all the money in the world filters into. You think it's going to be different in crypto? Fuck no. So any medical thing, any privacy thing, you can't go wrong. Pick one randomly. You can't go wrong.
Interesting. Okay, so along this this dystopian, chain that we're talking on here, there was a post on Reddit not too long ago that a guy claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2025. And he said that Bitcoin is going to cause some serious trouble, that it's going to hit $1 million, but there's also going to be some problems. Well, you wrote about or talked about this. So what are your thoughts on the time travel?
Well, yeah, listen, I don't care. Listen, I don't care where the guy claimed to have come from. Okay, whether that was a joke or not, who cares? He clearly predicted every single event in Bitcoin, for Christ's sakes. So does it matter that he claimed to be God, or claimed to be the ghost of Cassius, or who fucking cares? What I care about is the predictions were right on. End of story. So people make fun. Oh yeah, McAfee is taking the advice of a time traveler. No, I'm pointing to someone who predicted exactly, almost to the month, every single radical shift in the price of Bitcoin. So please God, stop dissing me, people. Not you. I'm talking about your listeners.
Well, I mean, that post came out 5 years ago, so that would have been 2014 whenever that post came out, and he says that here I am from the year 2025, and Bitcoin did go from 10 cents in 2010 to $1 in 2011 to $10 in 2012 to $100 in 2013. That had already happened. What he did nail was $1,000 on 2015, 10,000 in 2017, and he's saying 100,000 in 2019. Now, we would have said bullshit, because here we are at the end of June, and but finally we got back over that $10,000 bump, so that was a big hurdle. But it's just so crazy to see now. It's like, once it gets over 10,000, then it's like, you see $1,000, $1,500 jumps each day.
Per day, per fucking day almost. Yeah, so please, people go, no, they say stocks don't perform like that. Well, this is not a stock, for Christ's sakes. It is a currency controlled not by us, but by the laws of mathematics. And the more people who use it, the more people who accept it, the more valuable it becomes. In reality, doesn't matter that the market doesn't know that. Fuck the market. The market will always catch up with reality given enough time. Give any market 2 years, they will catch up to reality. And the reality is Bitcoin today is worth way more than $50,000 mathematically. It's just a matter of
explain that. Explain that. Why mathematically is it worth more than $50,000?
Jesus Christ. Okay, now to do that, let's talk about what a value of a currency actually is. Now, see, we are in a very precarious situation, because in order for most people to use Bitcoin or Monero and still live, you got to convert it into a fiat currency at some point. US dollars, Japanese yen, British pounds, euros, who knows? But as more and more people accept it, as more and more people use it, then we start to disconnect more and more from fiat currencies, to the point that exchange no longer exists or matters. If I can buy coffee with Bitcoin, and shoes and shoelaces, and prostitutes and cars and houses, then do you understand? Value does not depend on an exchange or a value in terms of some other country. It depends on what it does cost to do something, to purchase something, to buy a service. That's the math that I'm fucking running, and that's the math that runs all economies. Except it's different with Bitcoin. You can't use typical, typical mathematical forensics. You have to use an entirely different system called point set topology, which is what I use. But no, sure, it can't possibly not be $1 million by the end of 2020. It can't, mathematically. Unless unnatural market forces, like every government in the world, does a massive sell or something, but that's not going to happen. So no, sir. It's a mathematical certainty that Bitcoin will continue to rise. Sure, momentary setbacks of a day, a week, a month, who gives a shit? Long run, it's going way past $1 million.
Yeah, and I would say that just the math of things.
Does that make any sense?
It did. It made sense. I would also say that that just with the math of things and how traditional commodities are so manipulated, like gold and silver markets. Like for every for every 1 ounce of real gold, yes, there's like 500 bullshit ounces of paper gold, and so it's like the price of gold, yes, should be just so much higher, and the price of silver should just be so much higher, but they've manipulated it. Yes. And this came out the other day that said that Merrill Lynch has been manipulating the silver markets in 2008 and got fined $25 million. Made billions of dollars, get fined $25 million. What the hell is that?
Yes, I know. Let me make this a little bit clearer. Bitcoin has a maximum supply of 21 million coins, 7 million of which are simply lost into the fucking ether. All right? So let's say 15 million coins. If in fact all the fiat was gone and only Bitcoin could be used, if you take the world economy, then Bitcoin in that situation would be worth over $100 million per coin. Now, if we get 100th of that by 2020, which I really believe we will, that's $1 million. And when I said over 100 million, it's closer to 200 million. If Bitcoin was all there was, and there was only 15 million coins, and that's a very conservative estimate of the value of Bitcoin. So please, it's mathematics. Just take the number of fucking users, the number of people who are accepting it, and run the goddamn numbers. It's $1 million by 2020, no matter how you look at it.
I have a follow-up on that because I go to some of these different forums, and there's people who are adamantly against crypto, right? And they say, Well, what happens? What happens when the EMP happens and all electronics are down, and then your Bitcoin's worthless, and you can't eat gold and you can't eat silver, so get bullets, right? There's these people talking like this, and it's like if an EMP and electrical grid goes down, then Bitcoin and crypto becomes worthless, right?
Okay, let me answer that very simply, because I'm also a cybersecurity expert, and EMP is one of the major concerns. They ran a study 4 years ago that if an EMP happened that did bring it down, 99% of all people on Earth would perish. We wouldn't have any electricity anywhere, my friend. Everything would be gone. We would be bombed into the Stone Age. Food could not be delivered to supermarkets hundreds of miles away. Oil would disappear 30 days into it, and 99% of us would starve to death. The remaining 1% would be back in the Stone Age, killing each other with clubs. Do you give a flying fuck what Bitcoin is worth or not then? Nobody does.
There you go. There you go. That's true. I just always thought an EMP just kills the electrical grid. It doesn't necessarily kill the people. It kills the electrical.
No, it does not kill the people. But if hang on, let's run some numbers. What heats your house? Electricity. What cools it? Electricity. Everything is run by electricity. The factories that can the goods are run by electricity. Right. Do you realize that we would have no food in 30 days if all the electricity was gone?
And there's no homestead skills anymore. That shit's gone. Nobody has survival skills really like they did 100 years ago.
No, all of your no electric tools would work. Nothing. Your entire
society,
life.
Basically, it ends society as we know it.
So people go, what happens if an EMP? Well, fuck, who cares what happens to Bitcoin if there's EMP? You better worry about killing your neighbor before he kills you.
Oh,
so please, God, that's an absurd argument against Bitcoin.
Right.
Okay, so let's
the most absurd I've ever heard.
Let's go to something else absurd. Want to hear your thoughts on Facebook's Libra? Go for it.
I'm sorry, people. Get real. This is nothing more than a ploy, and probably half paid for by the U.S. government, to get people sucked into, quote, crypto, but merely giving up more of your freedoms, more of your privacy. Please, people, don't buy this shit. Let Libra come out. Let the U.S. government have its own coin. Stay the fuck away from it. Keep with Bitcoin, keep with Monero, keep with Ethereum, keep with Apollo, keep with what you know has a future that frees you rather than secures you by handcuffs to an electronic version of currency.
Well, I would say you're preaching to the choir here, but one of the things that Joel and I have gone back and forth on this is that Joel says that he thinks Facebook Libra coin could be that watershed moment like Netscape browser was for the internet, where more and more people are going to be onboarded and understand it, because currently most people don't understand fiat currency. They don't understand the importance of decentralization. They don't understand why Bitcoin is. But I think it could be both. It's going to bring more people to crypto and then eventually make them realize that Bitcoin and these privacy coins are better coins as an alternative, and backfire on Facebook eventually.
No, let me tell you, first of all, the comparison to Netscape and the beginning of the real internet is an absurd comparison. Netscape, it changed the world from a online thing where everybody had to dial up one line, one person, to bulletin board systems, which was the closest thing possible. And that line had to stay connected. Netscape changed the entire face of the world, not by making another bulletin board, but by making bulletin boards themselves obsolete. Do you realize the magic of what happened with Netscape and now all browsers? We don't have to dial up and stay logged in. We hit bang, one page, give me the page, end of story, we're off. That's what Netscape did. The Facebook crypto coin is nothing like that. It's just another goddamn crypto coin that has more backing. Please, no, that's a bad analogy and a terrible argument. And you must believe me, it's a bad thing.
Well, it's the awareness of it, right? It's not so much the ease of like Netscape and the simplicity. It's the mass awareness of crypto that's going to happen over these next 6 months, potentially.
Well, okay, well, great. So let's make everybody aware, number one, of cryptocurrency, and number two, stay the fuck away from Libra.
I like
I mean,
that.
let's do that. Can we not do that?
That's good. No, that's good. That's perfect.
Well, you have
Listen, I have time for one more question, my friend.
I'm gonna call you on two, okay? Because we got two good ones. You're gonna love it. They're both about.
All right, then I'll give you three, but no more, okay?
Okay. The first one is, let's pimp McAfee Magic. Why the hell did you launch an exchange?
Why did I?
Yeah.
That's not an exchange. No, McAfee Magic is not an exchange.
Okay.
It's an interface. It creates a common interface to every other exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than have a different fucking interface every time, you've got something on one exchange and some other coins on another exchange. You got something on Binance, and Binance will accept very few coins. Then you got KuCoin. No, one fucking interface. And secondly, with that interface, you have a practice option where you can put $100 in, and you can practice trading under real market conditions for as long as you want, risking nothing. When you lose, you hit the reset button, you go back to zero, you've lost nothing. Also, when you gain, you still haven't gained, you still have $100. However, it removes the risk from new people coming in. It's not an exchange.
McAfeeMagic.com is the site. Okay, last one. Sorry, Travis, I'm going to step on you here for a second.
It's a trading platform with amazing facilities that makes it easier and safer for people to get into crypto trading. But I am also coming out with an exchange, now that you mention it, although it's secret. That's coming out in a few weeks.
Okay, we'll watch for that on your Twitter as we watch for many things. I want to give shout outs to a member of your team that's there, I'm assuming with you, goes by a lot of money on Twitter, a very talented artist who's been creating movie posters around crypto personalities. I'm extremely honored because he did If My Life Was a
I think we did one of you. Did we not, Joel? Didn't we do one of you?
You did. It's fantastic.
Yeah, didn't do one of me. Thanks a lot, Mr. John McAfee.
What's that?
I said you did not do one of me. So
well, you were number 51. We decided to stop at 50. I'm sorry.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Well, here's the thing. I've been talking with him about tokenizing his art, turning those into NFTs.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you think about that.
Yes. I think it's one of the greatest ideas since sliced bread. The problem is how to implement it in a way that makes sense. Because if you're using a non-fungible token, you only have one token per piece of art. Now, how do you then market that? It's very difficult.
It's an auction. You do an auction for some.
Yeah, but I mean, like if we're going to make any money, it's going to have to be a reasonable amount of money per token, and I just don't think that it's going to go. It might. I'm thinking more along the lines of a fungible token for each one, or for a fungible token for the entire collection. I'm not sure, but we're looking into it, and I've got actually. I put a little notice out on Twitter looking for developers who, with that experience, and two of the top guys that are absolutely the best in non-fungible tokens are working with us now.
Beautiful.
So if it makes sense to make a non-fungible token, then that's exactly what we'll do. And thank you, by the way, for that extraordinarily great idea. That had never occurred to me.
Excellent.
Man, Mr. Joel Comm had a great idea. This is amazing.
I did.
Hey, Mr. Joel Comm's got all kinds.
He did. That's the first one. I mean, I went back in his history. He didn't have any others, but he did have that one.
He's got a couple.
Hey, if you can have one great idea in a lifetime, then let's roll with that. I did create the iFart app, so two great ideas.
Oh, that's two. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right,
John.
What's your last question?
That's it, man.
All
we're gonna let you go. Travis, blow him a kiss or something.
Dude, you're awesome, Mr. McAfee. Get us one of those masks so we can have it. So
I'm gonna put the mask back on and walk through the coffee shop here in Cuba. I think that would be a great experience.
So awesome. Vaya con Dios, amigo.
All right. Talk to you later.
Stay back.